on the 17th, your brand new EP is coming out, which obviously I want to talk about.
Cool.
But first and foremost, you've been in the game for a minute, let's just say. Can you talk about your history and how you started in the music industry?
Yeah, it's super long. I guess like if we want to go back to like the beginning, you know, sometime around in high school, I used to really want to be like a visual artist really bad when I was a kid. Like I swear, like, you know, that childhood, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like I wanted to be an artist from the time I was like, you know, 3, able to like answer that question. I always wanted to be like a visual artist. And that was what I wanted to do all the way up until like probably like high school. And I ended up getting into the art program and just seeing like the level of competition that was in that. Like there were kids freehanding pages out of like a comic book. And I was like, oh man, like I'm really not that good at drawing actually. Like I guess I thought I was like, you know, I thought I was better than I was, I guess, you know.
We've all been through that.
Art is totally subjective. Like at this point, obviously being older, I realize that that's like a very like stupid, like, you know, mentality to have about it, but you know, whatever. So, you know, it's at that point where, I don't even remember how it happened, but like somehow someone was like, yo, we should go to this, like club. There's this all ages thing here where I'm from called The Basement. And I heard dance music really loud for the first time. And it was like, I just knew, I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is it. That's it. And this was a very long time ago when I'd sort of had like introductions to it through like, you know, The Prodigy on TV. My cousin was like a DJ when he was younger. So he had been like into electronic music, sending me tapes and stuff. But that's sort of like how I got like, knew what it was to know, oh, if I go to this party, there's going to be like that kind of music will be there. And hearing it loud for the first time, it was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. So it's pretty funny. Like anyone who went to high school with me, which was like quite a long time ago though, like I'll run into it like, dude, I can't believe it. Like you actually did it. Like, that's crazy. You used to be like, I want to be a DJ. And then like you became one. Like that's crazy. But I guess the road between then and now is, you know, quite a long way and a lot like different, not how I like sort of thought it would go, I guess. You know, it's like back then it wasn't, you know, there was obviously no social media. The ability to tour wasn't like it was. There wasn't as many people successfully doing it. It was like the idea that you could actually make money DJing, like it just seemed like such a foreign concept. Like telling people, oh, I want to be a DJ, they'd be like, oh yeah, okay, cool, dude. Like, yeah, for sure you're gonna do that. Yeah. You know, like in their mind, they're like, that guy's gonna be broke forever. You know, but so,
which is true for some DJs.
Totally. Yeah. And then, you know, I guess it's just like, as like the whole thing kind of grew, it's like, you know, dance music just became like super, super popular. And I had a partner at the time and we were like, oh man, let's like start a group and just try this. You know, it didn't work back in the day, but like maybe it'll work right now. And that was, I want to say like maybe 2008 or something like that. We were like, all right, cool. So we had a little group, we toured around, we got really successful real quick on like on Hype Machine, doing remixes and stuff like that. And we were good. We toured, we went all over the place. We ended up sort of like parting ways. And then I started, I was like, you know, I'm not done yet. You know, like I still have something to say. And I decided to go off on my own as Hunter Siegel. And that was, I don't remember what year, but that would be like 2013 or like 14, maybe 2013, I want to say. And then, yeah, I mean, I to get to now, let's go here. I don't know. I toured around for that for a while doing that. And I guess just sometime around like last year, I just felt sort of like, you know, not disconnected, but just not so like, you know, into what I was doing anymore. I was kind of just like, you know, I'm touring, I'm making music that like, it doesn't necessarily feel like I'm making it for me. Like I'm making it with this idea that like, you know, I just had like after so long of trying to maintain your career, it's like I had this mentality of like, got to do a song to stay in it, you know, got to get the next song, you know, what's going to work for this, what's going to work for that, not like whatever, like what's going to work for me, you know? And so at that point I was kind of like, you know what, honestly, I'm going to just mess around and try to, you know, try to do something different. I had a little period where I felt like I maybe wasn't going to do it at all anymore. But then, so like I had a very similar moment to that first moment I was telling you about going to the basement. I went and watched a DJ named Anna play at a club here called Coda. And when I heard the music she was playing, I was like, oh, this is like, I feel like I'm back there again as this like 14-year-old kid for the first time. Like I was like, that's it. This is what I'm gonna like. I have to go this way. I have to just make this and do whatever like I want to do, not make decisions based on like what works, make decisions like only based on like what I like. Well, what do I want to do? You know?
For sure.
I feel like that was the longest possible answer I could have given to that question, but I'm definitely
I love to hear the full journey. If you hadn't had that moment where you realized you still wanted to do this, what do you think you would be doing now?
Oh man, I have no idea. And you know what's I think about that sometimes too, because it's crazy. So like, I think I've told this story before, but I totally love like rehashing it a bunch of times. I think it's an interesting sort of dynamic. I think it's a good message to like anyone out there who like is either in that spot or is like into music, period. When that moment happened and I was like, I'm going to keep doing this. I was like, all right, from now on, I'm going to make every decision based on like, if this never paid me $1, do I still want to do it? Okay. And I'm only going to do things if the answer is yes. Right. Like there's some decisions you can make for business that are outside of that. Like obviously there's business decisions. Like let's not, be like super artisty about it, but like, but with general stuff, it's like, if this paid me nothing, would I still want to do it? That's going to be how I decide to make all my decisions. And then literally COVID happened 2 months later and made that just a complete reality. And it wasn't even a question anymore. It was like, well, you have to do this. You have no choice now. This is like, that is the reality of it. So I don't know that I've ever thought like what I would do instead, but I've always had this like, sort of like, did I like manifest this happening to my own life and bring everyone down with me? Because that's like
you might be to blame, Hunter, but we will look past that, and I think that is
a patient zero.
Yeah. Look who caused COVID. You
totally
that you used to go by your full name, Hunter Siegel. Now you just go by the letters HNTR. What sparked that name change for you?
You know what's funny is I always the whole time I was going as Hunter Siegel, I actually always wanted to just be Hunter, but I just thought like it was too like, like Prince, like a guy with one name is like a really cool guy, It's like there's this like level of fame you get to where if they just know you by one name, then you're like the shit. And so like I always was like, yo, why can't I just be Hunter? And whatever, went through the stuff as Hunter Siegel. That was always like, obviously it's my name, I liked it, but it's like the funny thing was like no one could ever spell it. Like it would always be spelled wrong on everything. Or like I'd look on like a festival flyer and it was wrong, or on like the banner outside of the club. Like that's not like the direct reason, but it was just sort of like I'd always sort of wanted to do that. And I felt like for the style of music I was making, it was just like it was cool. It fit it. It had this sort of like futuristic vibe to it, the way I was going to sort of like bring the whole like world I was creating together. But then it's funny, I started out going by just Hunter, not without the vowels. And there was like so many problems with that we actually had to change it again. And it's funny because I'd originally wanted to do it without the vowels, but I was like, I don't know if that's like, I'm not sure if it fits. And then I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to have to do it that way. This is like crazy. We're having like so many problems with like, just like all kinds of different stuff, like, searchability, or like we started looking into it and we're like, oh man, I might never be able to sell merch because like legally Hunter Boots like owns the rights to like sell the word Hunter on whatever, yada, yada. So it was like, this could actually just be like a world of problems going this way. So, we ended up having to change it. And I think, it just sort of like, it didn't really fit until I like made the logo. Once I made the logo, I was like, all right, this like really makes sense. I feel like this fits the like world and the story I'm trying to tell,
For sure. And now there's no excuse for misspellings.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. What's really funny was, I played a show with Deadmau5 in the middle of last year, and he said the same thing. Cause he's like, oh, what's up with the name change? And I was like, no one could ever spell Siegel. And he's like, really? That's why you did it? And I was like, no, I'm just joking. But like, actually, no one could. And I was like, well, I guess they'll never spell my name wrong now. And he goes, you'll be surprised. Yeah. So I think he maybe foreshadowed that this is going to happen for me. We'll see. I don't know.
Oh no.
I'm waiting for the first HTNR,
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah,
People can never
for sure.
On the 17th, your EP, Mind Games, is coming out. What can you say about it?
Oh man, worked on it for a long time. It's actually, I like to, once I'm done things, I like to put them, I'm not a, like, I don't like my own music kind of producer. I know there's a lot of those. I actually like, you know, at this point, after all this sort of like changing and stuff, I love the music I make. I think it's, you know, not to like be like, I'm so great, but like, you know, I actually I truly do love it. So like, and it was important to get to that. But I like to like put them away, and then I don't listen until like release day. So it's like, once we submit, unless I have to DJ the music, I really like to just like give it a break. And so the first time I heard Mind Games was last night. It was like midnight. I hadn't heard it for like 2 months because I hadn't really played anything. And I heard it, I played it on Spotify. I was like, damn, I went in like, okay, cool. I was like pretty stoked. I was like, shit. Cause I completely forgot how it went, you know. I was like, oh shit. All right, cool. Yeah. Good job. I guess like conceptually, the track came together over a long time. A couple of them are like 2 years old and had a bunch of different forms to them. But I was always sort of like trying to weave the story in like the web of like the sort of like, you know, completely encompassing nature of like the internet to the world we live in, and sort of like how that, you know, how that sort of like changed our perceptions of things. And, you know, there was this whole sort of like really elaborate sort of like story I was originally planning to tell with it, but it started to get a little too contrived. So I was like, you know what, we're just going to get the music out. We're going to like let the story be told that way, and sort of like develop on it as time goes. But it was really just sort of supposed to be like a light social commentary on, you know, sort of how like these computers basically dictate what we think. Like we like the you know, people are like afraid of getting microchipped or whatever this crazy stuff you hear is. And it's like, you have a computer telling you your thoughts all day in your pocket every day.
Right.
You don't realize that, you know? So I didn't want to get too, you know, I was going to try to have this whole like sort of really like deep social commentary to it. And I was like, this is sort of feeling too political. And I just feel like with what's been happening, I want, like, you know, the States and even here, we've had our share of stuff too. I just felt like, you know, people have been like sad for this year. Like, I don't need to like, you know, I don't want to touch on something that's going to make them think about this like negative stuff. So let's just sort of leave it for what it is and try to tell it that way. But that right there, actually, They Live is my favorite movie of all time. And it's sort of like, it actually is somewhat inspired by like the social commentary of that movie. So if anyone out there listening to this has never seen John Carpenter, They Live, it's an awesome movie and you should definitely check it out, because it's funny that it's in the frame, because it's actually like,
it's perfect.
Totally. It's actually even funny. That's like, if you've ever seen the glasses thing that I have and like the reflection stuff we do where like whatever, that's like actually all inspired by this movie too, and supposed to have the same sort of like social meaning or whatever. But yeah.
Very exciting. Sweet. And I know that you're releasing an NFT collection with this album.
We are. Nice. Now, I wasn't sure if you knew that, so I wasn't going to necessarily jump into that, but that's great. I love it. Okay.
I know this, Hunter.
Yeah.
I feel like NFTs are just popping up. We're hearing about it more and more.
Yep.
You're the perfect person to explain what that is to people who don't know.
Okay.
So do.
I maybe am not the perfect person to explain what that is, but you know what? We're gonna get the layman's term out of me. So that's good. I'm not by any means you know, a technology genius. I am just very, very excited by technology, and I always have been. An NFT, how do I explain what it is? Let me think of just like a very simple way of putting it. Yeah. It's basically like if you were to imagine an artist print. Okay, so let's say, you know, the Mona Lisa, they wanted to make prints of the Mona Lisa, and they were going to mint a certain amount of them, but it was a legitimate artist print by that artist. Okay, there would be a numbered amount to them, and it would have a different value than, let's say, you know, anybody just being able to go take a picture of the Mona Lisa, print it, and put it in your home, because you could do that. But the artist print is a numbered like edition of it, and so that's where you see people using terms like editions for NFTs. And all an NFT is a, you know, crypto-based singular version of something. Mm-hmm. So each of the different editions will have their own unique number and be individual versions of a, you know, of anything really. And that's the interesting and sort of like wide spanning thing about them is they don't just have to be art. So an interesting utility case I heard someone talking about was Breitling watches are now going to start doing their certificates of authenticity as an NFT, because it being on the blockchain, being on crypto, would mean that if I sold you the watch and gave you the certificate of authenticity as an NFT, there is a traceable record of that, and you can't fake that. So it would make something like buying a watch where it really matters how many people have owned it before you, and that's something that's quite easy to lie about. Oh, one owner watch, totally, right? Because for a high priced item like that, the difference of a one owner watch versus like a 10 owner watch, that could be a lot. And there isn't really, I'm not sure, because I'm not like a watch connoisseur, but like I'm not sure what their way of checking it before this has been. It might have been a ledger, or it might have been like, a bill of sale through the actual store. But if you're just a guy selling a watch on the internet to somebody, there's no way of really knowing. But this is like, that as a utility case is where NFTs can actually just like change the world as a utility, because then now, or like something like, think about like a car. It's like, you would like a car to have as few owners as possible. And there is like obviously the bill of sale and the record of like ownership, but I'm sure there's definitely cases where people have bought cars thinking it's one owner, not realizing, well, this would be like a hard record, once adopted by enough people of where, there wouldn't be like a way to fake it. Now that's like from a utility side in terms of that. When it comes to like music and art, it's essentially a way to, collect things digitally. And with music, there's like a world. I've been hearing just the craziest different things that it can do. One of the main, most interesting concepts with music being on the blockchain is that, picture when you're done writing a song, you could bake into the song already using, blockchain, who the writers are, how much they own of it. And, when technology catches up to this point, it's like, it goes out on the internet and it's just automatically paying those people. Like, you don't have to go through, like label accounting, like me and my manager the other night, just sitting there writing down everyone, what did this song and what did it do? It's like, you could directly pay everybody using it. It's a matter of adoption. And I think, it's the reason it's hard to understand is because it's just so broad. There's so many things it could do, right? Like it's like an NFT can be anything. You could make an NFT of something you own that you were like selling on eBay. Like I've heard a use case where it's like they would make an NFT that represented like a Pokemon card they were trying to sell to somebody, right? Just so there's like again, it's like the record of sale, which one is it? That way you knew when you were buying it, that's that one. That's not just some random one, right? That's not some random, not 9.5 PSA approved, whatever, right? So it's interesting. It's going to be wild. There's a lot of people making a lot of money currently in it, but there's also a lot of people. What I'm more interested in is there's a lot of people with a lot of big ideas, doing all kinds of awesome stuff. I really want to tell you what we're doing next with it, but I don't know that I can. But we are really like the thing I'm most excited about in it is like real connecting to digital. So we have a bunch of ideas coming up that basically connect real spaces to digital spaces and stuff like that. One of the things we've been working on, I will share, is once events are back, we've been working on essentially like it'd be a tier of a ticket you could buy that would come with an NFT, where an app on your phone would allow you, or even just I'm not sure about this part of the technology because I don't do that actual part of it, but the concept is you buy a certain ticket to my show, and when you come, we have all these sort of like little symbols around the room or different things in my like show graphics behind me, and an AR on your phone would trigger different sort of like artistic visuals to come out that are in 3D within like a 3D world in your phone. So it's like, it's funny. My move here, I see a lot of people that are like, they want to get phones out of shows. And I just think it's like, you can't really do that anymore. It's like, I want to try to make, like, I want to blend the two together. Like if you're going to sit there looking at me through your phone all night, let's make it cool. Like, let's give you like, let's like add to that, let's not just like sit there and it's like, you're taking like a blurry Instagram photo. Let's like show you some like sick visuals. So, I'm really lucky to have our in-house, like the guy, our art director for my label is actually like super into it and like already, comes with a new idea every couple of days. So it's like, I'm lucky to be able to have someone who can like, I can be like, what if we did this? And he's like, totally, let's,
Love it.
Yeah.
Technology, the future is kind of exciting. And that was a great explanation on your
end. Okay, cool. I hope so. It's really hard to explain, I feel like, because it's just like so broad. It's like, could be anything at all, period.
It could be anything or nothing. It's funny because
totally.
I believe it's Kings of Leon just started doing it.
Yeah.
And right after I saw that you were doing it too. And I was like,
yeah, totally.
I got to get
tell
me what's good.
Oh, it's great. So my friend actually, they see now, I didn't look into, there's a couple people sent me theirs. I didn't actually look into what it is. I didn't look into what's called the mechanism, which is like how the mechanism would mean, how are they selling it? So I saw that they said they had like the first, NFT album or whatever, but depending on the mechanism, which is like how many of them are there, like how are they selling it? So like, our drop is, the mechanism is, there's 2 pieces that are 1 of 1, and then there are several pieces that are like 1 of 10. So that's sort of the mechanism. And a mechanism can even be stuff like, you have to own something from this to buy that. Like you can build tons of different stuff into the mechanism that you choose to sell under. So I was interested to see, I didn't actually look at what theirs was yet, because I saw them like, boasting it as the first one. And that's actually not really true. My friend actually sold his Justin Blau, who goes by Blau. He sold his album, like, I feel like it was like 3 days before that. But then again, it's like, it comes down to maybe their mechanism was different. And that's where I think we're seeing a lot of like first in the space kind of stuff right now. And I don't, we're sort of like, we had a couple things that we thought we were going to be first in the space for. And we're like, honestly, like, I don't even know, like, it's like, forget boasting what's what, it's like, we're all here doing it. Like, let's just make cool shit. And like, like, if the only reason you're buying my thing is because it's the first of something, well, that's probably not a great thing,
For sure. Absolutely.
I hope the merit is beyond like, time,
Right.
Yeah.
What's extra special about your new EP on top of that is you're releasing it on your very own label, No Neon.
I sure am.
Your mission in starting this label.
Oh man. Well, that's an interesting one. The event, No Neon, has been going on for we're coming up on 7. It will be 7 years next year, I guess. So 6, we just had our 6th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
This year, 6. Okay. Wow, it's so hard to remember how long it's been going on.
Life has been a blur, I understand.
Totally. I had actually wanted to do it, like have a label for the event the entire time, and we just never really we never really felt it was the right time. Finally, with sort of the change in direction and just this idea of like, doing it for me, I wanted to sort of invest in myself and be in control. My manager and I have been working together for 10 years now, and we have worked with a variety of labels. And I'm not trying to, I'm not bad mouthing any labels. I think there actually is a huge value to working with labels, in fact. And I think that a lot of labels are, bringing great things to artists they work with. And I think that there is definitely a use for them. This is not I have stuff coming out on some other labels later down the year. Like I'm not only doing it myself. So I just want to preface it with that. But we did find a lot of the time in the rollouts and in how we were doing things, we had to really take charge of how it was going to go to get what we wanted out of it. And we always found ourselves feeling, that we either didn't have enough control or that, we did too much for what ended up happening. Maybe, those are sort of some of the feelings we had. And, we were talking about it. And I was like, honestly, man, we should just do it. Like we are constantly having to guide how these things go. We are very headstrong about what we want to happen. Like, what better way than to just do it yourself? And so it sort of started as that. Like, I want to just be more in control of what I'm doing, win or lose, I bet on me, and that's that. But it's sort of the same, I guess, ethos as the event, which is like, I just want to try to put out music from people who I believe in and who I don't think are getting the shot to put out, the music they want on, labels that are there. I hear, like, I guess when the party started, the reason it started was there was nowhere for me to play the music I wanted to play. Like I'd go and, I'd try to get a set at this venue, and they'd be like, nah, you don't play the right thing. Or I'd go play, I'd have to play this other party that was like my buddy's party, and that would always go well. But I was like, man, I want to go into this like commercial club, and I want to have the night where I play what I want, and like turn this really, really known to be commercial club into like a cool underground party. And it was tough to get that shot, and I finally did get the shot. So you know, so we started throwing the party, and it was interesting over time. One, the two things that happened were DJs were constantly coming up being like, thank you for doing this. Thank you for trying to put on other producers. Like, I feel like there's somewhere now that exists where like the music I like is, and like, I'm, you know, when you book me, I'm free to do it. And the other thing we noticed was that as that party worked, we started seeing more and more creeping up into the regular programming of the club to be like stuff that was sort of like what we were doing, you know? And so it was like, oh, okay, cool. Interesting how like suddenly it's like, we might've made this whole place cooler. Like, all right, you know, let's go. Like, that's dope. Yeah. So, I mean, in the same way of, and we were really early on, like a ton of artists. We, you know, we were one of the first shows Rez ever played, period. We had the first like Canadian play for, I want to say Joyride, maybe Ghastly. I don't even know. It was like a ton of different artists that we would be sort of like, where it was the first time they played in Canada. And I guess with the label, it's sort of a similar thing. We're trying to find people that maybe you haven't heard of that you should. And we already have a bit of a success story in a guy named Sam Wolf, who put out something with us last year, and now he's been tearing it up in Atlanta. I think he's got his own night starting, and he's now getting picked up by like a bunch of other like larger techno labels, and it's like it's already happening. So it's like, I mean, what more could you ask for? So that's, I guess, sort of the idea of it. It's funny. I had a party before No Neon with a bunch of other people. I used to throw a party with a group called Zed's Dead, and it was like, it was the same. It was pretty much, it's hilarious. No Neon was kind of the same as that was, different style of music. We were the first people to book Skrillex. We were the first people to book like Neuro. We were the first, I don't know, tons of different DJs, Borgor, like I can think of tons of dubstep guys. We were like the first people to do their show in Canada. And it's funny that No Neon is kind of just like, it's the same thing as when I left that group I was in, and I was like, no, I'm not done. I want to do this on my own. It's like that party ended, and I was like, nah, man, like I want to do that, but I want to have it for me this time. I want to be in like control of it, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
As you know, you were just talking about, No Neon has been doing the events for so long. Hypothetically, one day, if you were to do a No Neon festival, who would be on your dream lineup for that?
Oh man, wow, that's a tough question. Really, really hard off the top. We were gonna potentially have a festival stage this year. Actually, we're gonna have two different ones. So I was actually gonna get to sort of put that into motion. Geez, let me think. That's gonna be a tough question for me to answer like right off the top. I guess like I would want it to be somewhat diverse in like a bunch of different ways. So I guess it would be like me, this DJ named Anna who makes techno, who's super awesome. Maybe like Green Velvet, because he always crushes it, and maybe someone like, I don't know, something more like melodic, like Art Bat or like Camel Fat or something like that. And then the rest of the lineup would all be, I guess if it's in Toronto, the rest of the lineup would all be like local DJs who needed a shot at something like bigger like that. You know, so let's say this is over 2 days, and that lineup's split in half, 1 and 1, and the rest of the lineup is all sort of like locals that I feel like need a shot at playing somewhere for more people than they've had. And that's actually another thing that I forgot to mention about it, was we've never been the kind of party. I actually don't. It's like every time someone I book them and they're like, oh, what should I do to promote or whatever, I'm like, I actually don't care. Like, I'm not booking you to like promote or sell tickets. I've never once tried to put it on any of these people to, you know, you see that a lot in events where it's like, you know, local DJ, you want to get on, you got to bring like 10 people or whatever, you got to bring 20, you got to buy a bottle in a booth or whatever it is. And it's like, we're never that way. I've never even like, I only book people based on like they play or make music that I like. I prefer to try to find producers, but I know that's not always possible. They play or make music I like, and that's just like it. Music first. And that's sort of how we've tried to run things. So it's the same. I'd be the same with the festival. It's just music first, you know?
I love it. We're manifesting it. You never know.
Totally, yeah. It's gonna happen.
Yes, exactly. And you yourself have performed at many festivals. If we're looking at light at the end of the tunnel right now, when it's safe, what would be your dream place to perform first when this is all over?
Oh man. So my dream place to play, I always, for years, I lived in Denver very briefly, and I always wanted to play Red Rocks. And I was actually supposed to, in, I forget what year, 2014 or 15, I got really sick and ended up having to cancel my whole tour because I got hospitalized. And the first show I had to cancel was Red Rocks. And it was actually a situation where, just because of how the like all the other people playing like schedules worked out, like I actually, even though I was like completely unheard of at the time, I was playing like one or two before the headliner. So I was gonna play like packed full giant Red Rocks. So I guess it's just, I would just like that one back, you know, like I just want that shot again. Give me that one.
You deserve that.
Yeah, right. Or I guess if I have to pick somewhere else, I'm not a festival hater. I think they're great. I like dark, small clubs, like intimate vibes. So something like Audio San Francisco, or oh man, I don't know. I wish I knew where it was in Maine so I could just do the Maine plug. Love Maine. Trying to come to Maine, guys.
That'll happen one day. We'll get
that's
there.
what you're supposed to say, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Wherever you are, guys.
I'll edit it in.
Show ever right now. Yeah. Oh man, I remember. Totally funny, like side story. I don't remember who it was, but I was on a tour. I can't remember which act it was. I was on a tour in like 2013 on this bus tour. And I remember the dudes before the headliners. I'm not going to air them out. You can just Google that if you're trying to figure it out. You're listening right now. But the dudes before the headliners, good friends of mine, hilariously, every single night, they'd be like, I just want you on the mic. I just want you guys to know this is the best city I've ever played in my whole entire life. And I was like, yo, how? I was like, one day I'm going to grab that mic and be like, that's what you told Philly last night.
Phony as hell.
That's funny.
That's awesome. Well, speaking of Maine, because we know you're coming here one of these days, our motto is the way life should be. So I want to know, according to you, what is the way life should be?
Oh, what is the way life should be? I mean, it should just be filled with doing whatever makes you feel I guess just whatever makes you feel like fulfilled, like not whatever pays for anything or whatever does any of that. Just what do you feel fulfilled doing? That's how I would say it should be, I guess.
That's perfect. It kind of circles back to your message. Would you still do it if it didn't pay you? Does it fulfill?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It's funny. I have to remind myself that all the time as I like don't get paid for things, but it's like it's just, I don't know, it's worked for me and I'm stuck with it. And I feel like it's a good way to think about stuff. Because like the one thing we also didn't mention about the record label is we launched it 2 months before a pandemic started. So we had to immediately figure out like, how do you market and like work a record label during this? And, we've sort of like, coming around a year later, like we figured it out, but man, there were some months where I was like, yo, maybe we shouldn't have done this. This is crazy, What were we fucking thinking?
Wow.
Yeah, totally.
That's awesome.
Like now I'm on a radio platform in Maine.
Exactly. And I'm not paying you to do this.
No, I know. Yeah. This is not a paid, Twitter fact check. I am not being paid for this. I was not paid to say I like Maine. I love Maine. I'm a big fan of lobster.
Yes, there you go. Well, now you have to absolutely visit.
Totally. Yeah. 100%.
Well, Hunter, we can't wait. The 17th, we'll be waiting for the EP. There's a single out now, right?
It came out today. So if you're, I don't know if this is not live, but I don't know wherever when this is airing, I forget, but it's
I'll do it today.
Okay. Yeah. So it came out today. All right.
Perfect.
Oh yeah.
Love it. Well, we'll listen, right? I'll hop off here. I'll go listen. And I thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for spending the time, trying to put on artists that maybe people haven't necessarily heard of. Because I feel like you're taking a leap, just taking someone you've never met before. And that's awesome. And I respect people that do that rather than whatever they were told to or handed. So
that is certainly the goal. So thank you so much.
Totally.
Take care, Hunter.
Cool. Bye.